Hi friends, this is Caitlin and I am excited to be sharing this video which I originally posted over on the Pawsome Stamps channel last month as a sneak peek for this amazing stamp set that I fell in love with. This is the Oopsy Daisy stamp set, and now that it's been a little bit of time over on their channel, I decided that it would be a good idea to share it over here with you too, just because their channel is still growing, their company is still growing, but I absolutely love being a part of their design team. And I think this card was so cute. And I don't know about you, but I could always use more inspiration on how to make a belated birthday card because unfortunately, every once in a while you really do need them. So you can see here, my favorite thing about Pawsome Stamps are their sequin mixes. I am a sucker for a good sequin mix. So we're going to be using two of those later on at the end of this video to add some bling to our card. But first we're going to go in with all of the different daisy stamps from the stamp set, as well as the leaves and the stems. I'm going to be stamping some of these multiple times, lots of stems, so that I have enough to go around for all of my flowers. And I'm stamping them in my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, which is Copic friendly. It's my favorite ink to use for any time I'm Copic coloring. I've tried a couple other ones, and this is the one that stays the most crisp for me and doesn't smear, and it doesn't take a long time to dry. I started out by shading in my daisies with some warm gray markers. I really like the idea of the white daisies with the yellow center. I also tried out some yellow with a white center, but the white ones are really what spoke to me the most. I definitely think that there's a lot of room for customization here and getting really creative, because you could honestly color these flowers to be any colors. There's no rules when it comes to your cards. Not everything has to be super realistic. But I did have a lot of fun kind of adding in those shading. I'm making the darkest kind of flicking motions at the center part of the flower and anywhere where one petal overlaps another, and then going in with my lighter markers just to blend that out. I also grabbed some of my YG markers to shade in my leaves and my stems. I just wanted something really bright and fresh and something that felt very springy. I'll have all of the items that I used today, as well as all of the colors of everything, listed in the description box below for you. And I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, now would be a great time to hit that subscribe button, because I'd love to have you as part of our crafty family. And I put out new videos every Friday sharing some good card crafty inspiration with you anytime I can. So I worked my way through all of these daisies, and I used a little bit of a BV as a little bit of extra shadow on those center sections. That's a really fun way to add in some extra shading instead of just using a darker yellow, because eventually, depending on how dark you go, either you won't get the contrast that you want, or it will start to pull a little bit orange. So adding in a BV, because yellow and purple are opposites on the color wheel, they will create a nice shadow. You can see there I did do those two yellow daisies and they turned out super cute. I just didn't love them when the whole card was coming together. So I did save them so that I could use them on another card in the future. But for this one, we're going to be featuring those white daisies with the yellow centers. I'm going through and die cutting out all of my images. For some reason, this is one of my favorite parts of making a card. I just think that seeing the images cut out with that crisp white border, it really just makes them pop to me. I don't know how else to explain it. So I cut a piece of my Neenah Solar Crest 80-pound white cardstock in half. So it is 8.5 by 5.5, and then I scored it at 4.25 to make a side folding card. And I added the little happy birthday inside, and I am stamping this with some gray ink, the distress ink, so that it is nice and opaque. But I just thought that adding in the gray would help to tie in with the gray in the daisies and wouldn't be overly harsh. So now I'm going in with some more oxides. This is mustard seed and squeezed lemonade. And I am creating a nice ombre using the mustard seed down at the bottom and then working my way lighter up over with the squeezed lemonade, eventually kind of just letting that fade out to white. And I'm going to be trimming this panel down a little bit, so I'm not super worried about all of the edges, but I just wanted a nice kind of clean blend all the way up. And I did trim that down so we would have a nice white border on that card, just a kind of thin matte all the way around. And I did like the weight of having the darker yellow at the bottom and the white at the top. So you can see now I'm kind of playing around arranging my daisies in different ways, and I really liked how it looked when I created this kind of diagonal flow. But I also wanted to go ahead and stamp my front sentiment, which says, "Oopsie daisy, I forgot your birthday." I stamped that in that same gray ink. I believe it's hickory smoke, but if I'm wrong, I will either way check in the description box and I'll have the right color listed there for you. So I just stamped that out and trimmed it out so it's a nice little rectangle, and I decided to pop it up with some foam, and that way I could tuck my stems from my flowers behind it and also put some of my sequins tucked up under it when we get to that part next. I removed the backing paper from my foam, and I'm just kind of lining that sentiment up at the bottom so you get a little sliver of yellow underneath, and we're almost going to use that as a little planter for our daisies. So I'm popping up that center daisy with some foam, and the other two are going to be adhered flat with liquid glue, and I'm going in with my stems. And I did make some like a Frankenstein stem on one of these, kind of combining them to be the length that I needed. But I started out with that center one just using that straight stem. One is straight and one's a little more curved, and you can see I'm kind of trimming them down just so a tiny bit goes under the flower and a tiny bit goes behind my sentiment, and I don't have to worry about a ton of extra stuff kind of piling up under anything. So I also went in and added the leaves. I just think that this whole thing came together so cute and so easy. This is where I'm kind of creating that little Frankenstein stem. So I needed one that was long enough to reach that upper left corner. And to do this, I took one of the pieces that I had trimmed off of another one, and the area where they join together actually is hidden under that big center daisy. And so when the card's all done, you would never know. But it kind of, just the little peak of it under that flower really helps to kind of make it look like it is one cohesive piece. So I grabbed the new Hello Sunshine Sequin Mix, which is so gorgeous. It matched these yellows perfectly, and I instantly fell in love with it, and I knew I wanted to use it on this card. So I'm grabbing a couple different size sequins and some of the different shades, and I also grabbed my absolute favorite sequin mix of all time, which is the Dreamy Days, which has these really beautiful white and pearlescent and iridescent sequins. And I'm already on my second bag. That's how you know that it's a lot. So I adhered those, kind of tucking them and keeping them all focused down towards the bottom of my card. And that is a finished product. So I just want to thank you so much for being here with me today. I have to be honest, I almost didn't put up a video this week, but I have been going strong, posting every single week since last August, and I didn't want this to be the first time I missed. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you're feeling super inspired. I hope that your week and weekend are filled with light and positivity, and most of all, lots of craftiness. So from me to you, thanks for being here, and happy crafting.